What's going on, people? Today we're checking out the Spyderco Para 3 St.Nick's knives exclusive in CPM 4V. Yes, CPM 4V. Before we continue on, we're going to go with some comparisons. We got the Spyderco Reinhold Rhino. We got the Ruweek PA31. Next up, we will have the A.S.O.K.A EX04. And for you custom knife fans, we got the Steve Kelly Bolster Lock Gulo. Alright, so let's get to the knife. Y'all know the dimensions of everything. You know, if you don't, check out any other review, they'll give you the dimensions on it. But this, ooh yeah, this has been quite a treat to test, quite a treat to use. This, as I said before, it's an exclusive. This was from St.Nick's Knives. It has a DLC coated CPM 4V blade. Also have crimson red G10 scales. It's a little bit see-through, but as I mentioned in my previous video, when it comes to, like, you know, getting those rich dark colors like what you get with the S110V Spydercos, you do have to have a level of transparency, or else the color will come out dull if you try to put it, like, have it, like, you know, go all the way in terms of the dye. We got blacked out hardware, blacked out stop pin, blacked out lanyard hole, blacked out pocket clip with blacked out screws. And yeah, for those of you who don't know what CPM 4V is, it is a high-sped tool steel. It is premium high-sped tool steel, and it's a beautiful thing to use. As you see, all this little bit right here, plus extras that I didn't bother keeping, because throughout the week I've been just kind of like carving at it. This is the original edge, by the way. This is not my edge. This is the original Spyderco edge. Has that very small micro bevel. But yeah, I was just testing it out, you know, putting it through its paces. Started with drills. Earlier in the day I did 2 drills, and then in this clip that you're watching right now, you're seeing me do a 3rd drill. This thing is, well, needless to say, this thing, even with the Spyderco edge, it holds up extremely well. I went through all this and stuff that I haven't filmed on top of that. All of that, you know, going through wood one way or another. And this thing still has a level of bite to it on the parts that touch the wood. Still has a level of bite to it that, like, you know, is damn near close to the same bite it had when I just got it out of the box. Now, like I said before, I've been putting it through paces throughout the week, but you know, the footage that you're watching right now is the footage that, like, you know, I'm videotaping. Whereas I have times where I was just carving through it, and if you see the wood that I'm drilling into, that was it's spruce. I think I said, like, a while back in a couple of videos ago, that its pine is actually spruce, and it's seasoned spruce, so it's got some toughness to it. You know, it's dried out, and you know, more on the seasoned side, more on the stable side. So That's what it is, and this is the thing I've been biting through with this throughout the week. You know, wasn't able to get this video out earlier because I had suffered a sprain in my foot, and I've been on crutches ever since. Now I'm down to one crutch, so I'm okay. It's getting better. But yeah, otherwise this video would have been out a lot earlier. But yeah, you can see this thing go through the spruce. It has no problems with that. Still got bite. Was still whittling hair easily with the level of bite that this thing retained. And that's the thing. That's the thing I come to appreciate with these tough steels over the premium high carbide steels or the super high carbide steels. With tough steels, you can manipulate them to where you can have excellent edge retention and still keep that level of edge stability, to where it's like, hey, if there's tougher tasks ahead, this thing could still go at it, come back, and still do tasks where it's still holding an edge. Its edge is still retained. So in terms of edge stability and edge retention, I mean, I've mostly tested it for edge stability, and you know what, I think I'm gonna go for another set of drilling. Okay, I'm just gonna get out of the path of the camera. But yeah, I'm gonna go through another set of drilling. Yeah, that's the thing I come to really appreciate with these tougher steels. And you know what? This year's been the year of Spydercos for me. This is like, I've been collecting knives since 2012. I've avoided Spydercos mostly because of the way they looked. And then I seen the Reinhold Rhino, and I was like, I've seen it from how many, like, 2016? There was reference to it with a reference picture, the picture that they were using in the older catalogs, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna cop that. And then this year, the Reinhold Rhino comes out, and ever since then, I just said, you know what, I want to take my collecting to a different turn. I want to start with, like, collecting different steels, seeing how they go. And I'm glad I did, because I wouldn't have really gotten in with Spydercos, because to me, I looked at, like, before I looked at the things like the Paramilitary 2 and said, oh man, that shit looks like a cartoon duck with a big eyeball. But I'm pretty sure Sal understands. Like, yeah, he already knows that his knives are better at the ergonomics department than the beauty contest. But yeah, and I wouldn't have been able to, like, get my hands on the Para 3, man. It's pretty much the 3-inch or sub 3-inch knife that I've been waiting for. I mean, I've had, like, a few. I've had the, like the Cold Steel Mini Recon, the Kingdom Armory Mini Samaritan, but none really got that, like, like, I can put my hands all the way behind this 60-40 notch right here, and I don't have to squeeze my hands together. They sit nicely. They're nestled in nicely, right? And then just getting up here is just the bonus. That's the bonus right there, So yeah, really nice. And I'm definitely looking forward to collecting more Spydercos. Wouldn't mind getting another Para 3, But these tough steels, they definitely give you that certain, especially when you're a sharpener. As a sharpener, when you get tough steels, like especially premium high-sped tool steels, you tend to, like, manipulate. You start to understand how well you can manipulate it. So it's not gonna, oh, look at that depth. Look at that depth. So good. Yeah. but yeah, you get to manipulate them in a way where it's like, okay, so it's not S90V, so it's not S110V, but you could get them sharpened in a way, because you could give them such a grind. They could take those really thin grinds, whereas those super high carbide steels, those premium high carbide steels like S90V and the others in the SV steel family, can't really be thinned out to that point. and they can still, and these tough steels, these high-speed tool steels, still hold their own. They can still hold, they still hold their ductility. So that's what I come to really appreciate about these tougher steels, especially when it comes to these premium high-speed tool steels. But yeah, I'm digging a hole here, and then let me check this out. Got a piece of hair in my hand. Let's see, because I'm still rocking the factory edge. And I gotta tell you, if you're just an end user and you got this knife from St.Nick's Knives, or heaven forbid the secondary market, because secondary market literally, like, you know, one person like went on eBay trying to sell this thing for literally double the price. But yeah, as an end user, you're gonna definitely appreciate this for it. Oh yeah, look at that. You see that, yeah? Split that hair easy. Now I'm going against the grain. Usually when I normally you know, whittle hair, I'm going along the strand of hair, along with the strand, like along with the grain. So it's much harder to do. But yeah, so that's it. Going against the grain is cutting it easy, and that's off the drilling. And you see what I'm doing. I'm using the part that I was drilling with, which is the same one that did this earlier today. Well, this one you've seen in that previous footage, and this earlier today. You know, now I'm gonna flip it over, see if it could still whittle both ends, because this thing still carries that bite after all that wood. That's the power of this. That's the power of this knife's. That's the power of the. Ooh, it cut right off. Cut it right off. There you go. And then grab a piece. There you go. Cut that piece right off. There you go. So it's still biting them hairs both ways. You know. So as an end user, you're definitely going to be very happy with this steel. It's not a stainless steel, but you know, St.Nick's Knives had this thing configured with DLC coated blades, so you're safe anyway. You know, just keep an eye on that edge, make sure it ain't got no muck on it or nothing. You know. But yeah. Oh, another thing, shout out to St.Nick's Knives for tightening the pivot for me, because you know, here in Canada they got this new rule, and you know, can't it's called, they based the name out of the New York government's name, which is called the flick test. Now to us, the flick test is, the flicking is like, you know, taking your thumb or taking your finger and flicking the blade out. The way the government's doing it, like here in Canada, it's if you can hold the knife, hold the folding knife by the handle, and then whip it, use like that inertia, that centrifugal inertia, whip it this way, and the blade swings open into the lock position. That's what they consider. So St.Nick Knives, you know, really did me a solid in tightening the pivot before shipping it to me. So good looking out, St.Nick's. All right, and yeah, another thing I wanted to do is now on paper, this 4V is supposed to outdo these other two, right? You got the M4 and you got the Rec 45. What I really want to know is how much more it can outdo these two, right? So I'm going to see if I can set up more. I'm going to see if I can put these like in a little showdown later on. See, you know, how far behind the other two are. You know, I'm gonna be working on not edge retention. So it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be cardboard cutting stuff, you know, wear resistance. So I'm not testing edge retention. I'm going to be testing the stability of the edge. So that's going to be the toughness test. I'm going to try to come up with more of those and see how far behind one is from the other in terms of those particular tests, because these are all premium high-sped tool steels. So yeah, keep on the lookout for that. Anyways, people, hope you enjoy the video, and yeah, alright people, I'm out.